week on Storyboard, we catch up with John Montgomery, Global EVP-Brand Safety GroupM, and speak to him about viewability and ad fraud. We also speak to Rajesh Agarwal, co-founder Micromax Informatics, Subhajit Sen, Chief Marketing Officer Micromax Informatics, and actor Anil Kapoor on the new campaign for Micromax air conditioners. They also discuss their plans of becoming a complete consumer electronics company. And we pay tribute to Vinod Khanna, the film actor who featured in an iconic TVC for Synthol. Hello and welcome to Storyboard. This is Shibani Gharat. With all major brands increasing digital spends, the issue of ad viewability and measurement have become pivotal. However, there is a growing confusion in the business about viewability and its measurement. Storyboard editor Antrangaswamy speaks to John Montgomery, Global EVP Brand Safety GroupM, as he demystifies viewability and the standards that GroupM has set for measuring it. He also speaks about how reduction in ad fraud can improve viewability. Let's hear the full conversation.
John, to begin with, I want you to demystify the ad viewability issue that we're talking about everywhere.
What viewability really means is, well, let me go back a step. We used to pay on an impression, on an ad impression that was served. So the moment that
technically served.
Technically served. So if once the impression had been served by the ad server and delivered to the publisher, that's when the job was done and we had to pay.
Right.
But a lot of things can happen between an ad being served and an ad actually appearing on the screen.
Right.
And so things like there could be a bounce rate, which is when a consumer goes directly from one site to another.
Right.
The ad could open in a browser window behind another browser window.
Right.
It could also appear outside of the screen or not appear outside of the screen.
Below the fold and so on.
Exactly. So about 4 or 5 years ago, a company in the US developed technology which was able to measure how much of the ad landed up into what we call the iframe. That's what you can see.
Right.
And that was a real breakthrough because that then told us whether an ad was being seen, or what we call it viewable, whether an ad was being seen or not being seen. And if you think about it, if an ad cannot be seen, really it has no value. So it was, if you like, the next iteration in measurement. And so that became our new definition of an impression. And so an organization called the MRC, together with the IAB, the Internet Advertising Bureau in the US, set a basic standard, which was if the ad was 50% in view for 1 second for display, or 50% in view for 2 seconds for video, it would be deemed viewable.
Rubbish,
right? And when we took that back to our clients, they said, you know what, if we're going to move money from analog channels like television into digital, we want 100% of the ad to be in view.
Right.
So GroupM sets standards, and in fact our video standards are even more robust than that. But in essence, viewability is about the degree to which an ad appears in the screen that we're looking at. So whether it's a mobile screen or a tablet screen or a laptop screen, that's what it is. And so it's a real breakthrough for us because we don't know this information for any other medium. If you think about television, we don't know when people are looking away, when a TV appears, when they're out of the room, when they're in the room. And so with digital, we do know that, and then we can
How do publishers react to your measure?
Yeah, I think that there's a
because it's obviously going to see a huge drop in their revenue.
You know, we have such strong publisher partnerships. When we go to our publisher partners and say, this is what we're trying to do, we're trying to lift the level of quality in digital, and we want you to give us the best quality inventory that you can. And if you do, of course, there's a reward from our clients, because they then move more advertising revenue to those publishers. So I think there's been kind of interesting discussion around it. Obviously, initially there's a concern, but we found globally, when we've worked with our publisher partners to do this, we've together lifted the quality of the inventory up. And there's an interesting thing about viewable inventory. The more viewable the inventory becomes, the lower the fraud rate is in the higher viewability area, because it's better quality. And also, the safer the environment is. So the more certain we have of the ad not appearing next to inappropriate content. So there's a sort of a trifecta of viewability, contextual brand safety, and lower ad fraud. And I know we're going to get to ad fraud in a minute, but it's just kind of an interesting kind of a triangle of quality that happens.
Okay, so in India, I mean, we are talking about global examples. Have you engaged with publishers and got them to buy into your definition of viewability?
Yeah, we call our partners from who we've talked to and who accept these things, we call them hero publishers, because they're the trailblazers who create the momentum in the marketplace. And so we've had conversations with, I'm not sure if it's 8 or 10 publishers. In fact, we're meeting with them later on today, kind of to discuss the way forward. And it's great news for them. There are two things that happen in this space. One of them is that the more viewable inventory that becomes available, the more we lift the overall quality, and the more investment that they will get from the less viewable areas of the web to their own. So investment will shift to those ones who give us the best viewable inventory. But it changes the dialogue from a pure cost base. So much of our business has been driving costs down.
Thanks to CTG, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's all about CPMs. So what are the CPMs, and how can we, our procurement partners are saying to us, how do we drive efficiency into the business? And the biggest measure for efficiency is CPMs.
Right.
And in fact, it just becomes every year it becomes more and more pressure, and it's a sort of
it destroys quality in a way.
It does destroy the quality, and what this does is we're lifting the quality, and it enables us to actually justify a premium for the better quality products. Now, we've seen viewability in the US and in other countries where we've applied these viewability standards. We've seen viewability lift by upwards of 150%. So, in other words, access to quality inventory. When we started in the US, only 18% of the video inventory that was available to us met our standards. Now 55% does. That's a huge leap. And the CPMs went up a little bit, but nowhere near that huge leap in quality. So it's an opportunity for us to change the conversation from pure raw cost base, which we think is a road to nowhere. It's not good for the publishers, it's not good for our business, and ultimately it's bad for our clients, because the quality of the inventory degrades. And so it allows us to start justifying some premiums in the marketplace. So not only do those publishers who offer us better viewability get more overall share of the spend, but we start changing the dialogue from a cost-based dialogue, which, as we said, is going nowhere, to value-based.
As of now, this is still only a GroupM conversation with publishers. When do you see this becoming a publisher and a media agency business conversation?
I think that we've been the leaders in this space. We've started the conversation elsewhere, but I think in in the more developed areas like the US and Europe, it's an industry-wide conversation. We really have led it. I think we were the first to have our own standard and a more robust standard. But I think that the viewability and the quality conversation is happening across the industry, and you'll soon see other marketing companies and agencies having the same discussion.
I understand on this visit you met a few marketers, a few clients of GroupM. How did they react to your thoughts on viewability and these metrics?
I've talked to marketers about three things. One of them was invalid traffic, which is the fraud that you talked about, and viewability. And we've also talked about contextual brand safety, because as you know, there was the scare on YouTube in February in the UK, and it had sort of wide-ranging effects. And so I think it's a very topical subject right now. Our clients want to know that they want to understand what the risks are, and that's obviously our job is to share that with them, but also how we are mitigating those risks. What are we doing to keep their brands as safe as we possibly can? What technology are we employing, and what technology are we employing to lift the viewability standard and drop the fraud rate? So I think it's been very well received. Obviously, our clients are expecting us to to improve the quality. And by doing that, I think what that will do is it will help with clients trusting this media, the digital media more.
In the US, you had both Unilever and Procter & Gamble concerned about viewability and about ad fraud.
Yes.
Both. So now, does this mitigate their fears a little bit? What the dialogue you're getting into?
I think so. I think that they're very encouraged that we're addressing it. It's a journey. This is not a switch that you pull and everything is suddenly fixed. We have to have our publisher partners buy into this, and I think that our clients will be relieved when they see their levels of viewability go up and the levels of fraud declining. So I think I think that they're saying, yeah, that's great, go and fix it. But now I think that they are waiting for they're waiting for the results from it. So I think they're very encouraged so far, and they're really happy that we've done it. And we've got great case studies from around the world. But now they're saying, fix it in Asia and fix it in India.
There is more to this conversation, which we'll continue next week. For now, it is time for us to take a short break. When we return, we take a look at the new campaign for Micromax air conditioners. And we also get to understand how this handset maker is now aiming to become a complete consumer electronics company.